in the Interruption, but I'm Mike Lupica. Tony, please tell me you're going to stay awake tonight to watch the biggest game on the planet.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. This planet, maybe, but I think there's something bigger on Uranus.
You know,
Come on,
your Animal House sense of humor, your sophomore in college sense of humor. When are you going to grow up? Huh?
I know funny. That's funny.
Sophomore.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. There's only one thing going on today, and that's baseball. So we are devoting the whole first segment to the Yankees and the Sox. By winning last night's Game 6, the Red Sox have already made the greatest comeback in baseball postseason history. If they should win tonight's Game 7, will that comeback be extolled, or will the thrust of the story be that the Yankees collapsed?
Number one, the Red Sox have to be praised to the heavens for this comeback because, hello, it's never been done in baseball, never been done in basketball, the two major team sports in the United States.
Let's
number one.
Flip the scenario a little bit.
All right.
Let's say the Red Sox were up 3-0 and the Yankees beat them 4-3. You know it would be about a collapse.
Here's what it would be.
No, that's right.
Okay, but it's not. Because the Yankees are the Yankees. Because the Yankees symbolize winning in America, and they've never... Listen, they've lost World Series. They've lost Game 7s at home, but they're not associated with choking the way the Red Sox have been. They symbolize
power. The Red Sox symbolize tragedy. There's another element to this. These have not been games where a team has rolled over the other team.
No.
Only one game. Only one game.
Game 3.
Yeah, but the last few games have been so tightly contested that you can't really say the Yankees have collapsed. I mean, they're in the game. Two of them go to overtime, and one of them, Schilling, goes out there like El Cid and mows people down.
You can't point to things the Yankees have done and say, aha, that was just stupid or bonehead. You can't. You have to start with the Red Sox coming from behind. Tony, even if they lose tonight, half the story is the Red Sox forcing a Game 7. It's never been done.
Unless they lose 14-0.
Or unless they're up 4-1 in the ninth and El Foldo.
Yeah, that's right. That would be bad.
From the time the Sox began recruiting Curt Schilling, he embraced the idea of being the guy who helps lead the Red Sox past the Yankees, past the curse, and through the World Series. Schilling could not have done more to deliver than pitching 7 great innings last night on a bloody and busted ankle to beat those Yankees. Tony, will Schilling's performance be celebrated forever, or will it dim over time if the Yankees win tonight?
Before I answer that question, I need to ask you a question.
What?
Who sat here and said Schilling would definitely win the game and he would throw a great game? Who?
I'm going to give you two bits of dap at the same time. You said if they lost Game 4, the Yankees, it was 1-7.
Bad omen.
Good call, and you said Schilling.
Right. Now, I don't think that this victory will ever be diminished, even if the Red Sox lose. I really don't, because he went out there, and as you say, he embraced the whole notion of taking them to the World Series and winning it, which they hadn't done in anybody's lifetime
Well, they'd rather not talk about it.
And he went out there with a stitched-up ankle, and he went out there on all guts, and he pitched great. In time, in fact, if they win tonight, in time, he will be remembered as having won the 7th game.
Yeah, people will flip the scenario of having Schilling go on 7 on that situation. But, Tony, still, if the Yankees win, whatever the Yankees do tonight is going to be the #1 story.
But Schilling delivered.
2.
All right.
Big time.
He
big time.
walked the walk.
Not arguable.
He's a god in Boston right now. Thank you. And Schill is so classic. In the 8th inning of last night's game, with Derek Jeter on first base, Alex Rodriguez deliberately knocked the ball out of Bronson Arroyo's glove on a tag play at first. As the ball rolled away, Jeter scored to make it 4-3, and A-Rod went to second. After a conference, the umpires ruled that A-Rod was out, and Jeter was sent back to first because, in their judgment, A-Rod's actions violated the rules of base running. And so, Wilbon, was it a Bush League play by A-Rod, or was it a hard-nosed play by A-Rod?
I don't know how to characterize it. It's a play he needed to make. And if you get away with it, you can help your team win. Why do we play, Tony? We play to win the games. So, listen, I love to hear Millar and Schilling talk because they're great talkers. But I'm tired of this stuff that A-Rod was unprofessional when it's okay to plow a catcher at home plate who doesn't even have the ball yet and try to kill him,
let me just say
but it's not okay to smack the ball out of somebody's hand.
These things are different. The other night, Cabrera, on a double play ball, slid in and came up and knocked Cairo into the left field seats.
Fine.
All right? Now, I think if A-Rod had pulled a Curt Gibson, big tough guy, and rolled over somebody and knocked the ball out, that would be different. But he slapped at it. It may have been instinctive,
they made the
but
right
it broke
they
the rules.
made the right call. He broke the rule.
You know,
and you call him on the rule. The umps got it right. By the way, 3, 4, 5 years ago, the umpires would not have conference in the middle of the field after that. And they would have gone with the initial, I do too.
Okay, but
they would have gone with the initial call, and guess what? A-Rod would have driven in that run.
But
Jeter would have scored.
They got, from confereing, they got 2 things right last night.
And that's the
point.
They got
2 things right.
Absolutely.
But you know he was cheating on that.
It's not cheating.
Oh, come on.
He was doing what he's supposed to.
He
Win
slapped
the game.
at him.
You know what? If Derek Jeter had done this, everybody would say what a great play it was. People are hating on A-Rod. I'm tired of that stuff. You and Adonde and Mariotti.
They wouldn't have said it about Derek Jeter.
And
they would have said the same thing.
Stop. Leave him alone. Boston's Derek Lowe had such an erratic season, he was essentially bounced from the Red Sox playoff rotation. New York's Kevin Brown busted up his non-throwing hand during a temper tantrum a few weeks ago. Neither is the #1 option for his team in a critical game, yet each might have to start tonight in the biggest game of either man's career. So, Tony, which guy would you rather bet on? Lowe, who has been okay in the postseason, or Brown, who has been positively hammered in his last 2 games against the Sox?
Just for the record, I like the fact that you're sucking up to A-Rod.
I'm sucking up to him. I don't know A-Rod.
For months, when I wanted to talk about him on this show, you said, enough A-Rod, enough Sox, enough Yankees.
It's October.
It's
time, not February.
To answer this question.
What? Answer.
I would rather have Kevin Brown for this reason. He's got a ring. He's won games like this for the Padres. He's won games like this for the Marlins. At one time, he was thought of as a Hall of Fame type pitcher. And if I had to cast my lot with one of them, I would cast my lot with Kevin Brown.
Even though he's been lit up.
Having said that, we're going to see 10 pitchers tonight. We're going to see everybody out there. We're going to see Pedro relieving. We're going to see Messina relieving. We may see Schilling relieving.
A precursor to his new career, Pedro. You're not going to see Schilling.
Why not?
The only guy you're not going to see.
1 inning. Well, one guy.
I know. He
Why
threw
not?
99. No Schilling. You might see everybody else.
You're seeing anybody they need to win because this time they actually have to win.
Game 7.
And now we get to the doomsday scenario for George Steinbrenner.
Your boy.
Let's say the Yankees lose tonight and are swept out of the ALCS and denied a spot in the World Series. Given that historic humiliation, what do you think George Steinbrenner will do?
He'll start with firing the entire pitching staff and maybe even his beloved Mel Stoudemire.
Well, if he fires Mel Stoudemire, Joe Torre walks.
Well, you know what?
So he's firing Joe Torre.
The pitching, he will revamp completely. He will go out and try to buy or trade for every pitcher he thinks is better than the guys he got.
But does that every year.
Well, okay, but you asked him what he's going to do.
Anything else?
He's going to start with this in anger.
Right.
I mean, is Bernie Williams safe at 37 years old?
If Carlos Beltran is out there,
then no.
you try and get him anyway. Here's what I hope he would do.
What?
I don't think he will do this because I know him a little bit.
You think he's going to congratulate the Red Sox on a great season and a wonderful series?
We know that he hates Larry Lucchino, and Larry Lucchino hates him. I mean, we understand that. He hates Boston, and Boston hates him. I think it would be great if he stood up and he said, you know what, they got us. It was a great series. They got us. We'll get them next year. We've got them most of the time.
You just told me these other moves that I told you, which are going to happen, were going to happen anyway. You think that's going to happen?
No.
You think the boss is going to come out and say and salute?
No.
Give the Denver Broncos salute?
No. I think most of what he's going to say can be contained in 2 words.
What?
You're fired. I think that's what he's going to do.
To all the pitchers, perhaps except Mariano Rivera.
I wish that wasn't
perhaps.
The case. We're taking a break. No, Messina's been good. Taking a break. When we come back, Mike Lupica will join us from Yankee Stadium, and we will be lucky to get a word in edgewise.
Getting Lupica right there from the field.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Time to spend a few minutes with best-selling author, top columnist, longtime friend of the program, Michael Lupica, the New York Daily News, sitting in Yankee Stadium. A lot of people say it's the biggest game in the history of baseball. Is it that, and is it the biggest sporting event in the history of New York?
Tony, it might be. I would say that the only comparable thing that I can think of is Willis limping out, even though in this series things get turned around and it was Schilling who played the part of Willis Reed last night. And yeah, I think it's the biggest baseball game because of all the elements, because of the Red Sox comeback, because the Yankees are trying to avoid what would be the single worst loss in their franchise history. And if the Red Sox win this game, this would be, for me, one of the great sports stories of all time.
Michael, given all that, it seems certain that the scope of this series is going to obliterate the World Series, no matter whether it's the Red Sox or the Yankees that win. Do you agree?
Yeah, because, Mike, when these things are happening, and I have to tell you, those last 2 games in Boston were 2 of the great sports events I've ever seen, and I didn't think anything could top Game 4, and then Game 5 obviously did. Last year, the Red Sox and the Yankees turned the World Series into kind of an opening act. I think the same thing will happen this time unless the Red Sox win the game, because then, of course, the Red Sox have much bigger fish to fry.
Do you get the sense that anyone outside is rooting for the Yankees, outside of New York City? Are there people out there who want the Red Sox to suffer even more?
No, I think it's always mixed. You watch the Yankees go around the country and draw these big crowds, Tony, and you see, there's a sea of Yankee caps. So I think there's a big Yankee fan base. But, for anybody who's rooting for the best story is obviously for the Red Sox to come all the way back from the greatest clutch postseason athlete of my lifetime, Rivera, being 3 outs away from a sweep around midnight on Sunday night.
Well, Michael, let's stay with Mariano Rivera for a second. First of all, which Rivera do you think we'll see? And when the Sox got to him in Game 4, did you sense at that moment the Yankees might be in trouble for the rest of the series?
Tell him that. I did.
He's gloating again, Michael. Please
I did. I said that was a very bad omen. They had Rivera on the mound, and they could have and should have won right there.
Okay, I want to hear somebody who actually knows what he's talking about now. Michael?
No, Tony, you're right. When he blew that save, I know you were thinking, they could go like 14 innings tomorrow night, and Ortiz could do it again.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And then, we could have the A-Rod. How about A-Rod last night, standing on second base, clapping after hitting the ball 50 feet and trying to slap the ball out of Bronson Arroyo's hands. Hit the ball over the fence.
Go ahead.
No, I did not think it was an omen. I did not think we were going to see a Game 7. I thought that by winning Game 4, the Red Sox gave themselves a chance to be carried out on their shields. And now something bigger has happened here, and that's why I cannot remember a single baseball game in my lifetime that will be anticipated like this, and we've only had about 20 hours to anticipate it.
Do you believe that the Red Sox have gained the psychological advantage for whatever that's worth before you play the game?
No, I do believe in momentum in sports, and even Joe Torre admitted, after Game 5 that the Red Sox had the momentum. I don't think there's any psychological advantage here. I think the Yankees know they're about to play a game they cannot lose for about 100 different reasons, because they don't want this on them. Because if they lose this game, they'll be able to say we've won 27 or 26 World Series, but people are going to remember that they became the New York Yankees, the $194 million New York Yankees, became the first team to blow a 3-0 lead and lose. But the Red Sox, this is quite an admirable group of athletes. They took as bad a shot as you could take in this ballpark, 1 year and 3 days ago when Aaron Boone won a game that they thought they should have won, and got managed out of. They have picked themselves up from that. They have picked themselves up from not winning the East after their big comeback, and then they picked themselves up from 3-love down and Rivera on Sunday night. I think the stakes are equally the same on both sides tonight.
All right, so who do you have winning?
I have a feel. I thought the Red Sox with Curt Schilling were the better team. I thought Schilling would get 2 games in this series, and they had to find a way to get the other 2. Well, Schilling got 1. They've got those other 2. Now they got to get 3 the hard way tonight.
All right, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to plug your book, which I understand is it on the New York Times bestseller list?
Yeah, it's Travel Team. It's a young adult novel. It's coming on at number 4 this week. It's about a little 12-year-old basketball player who gets cut.
That's 10.
It's for every parent who's ever had to tell a kid that they didn't make the team, and it's for every kid who thought they were better than that.
See, that's 20 seconds. Only because you're my friend of 30 years do I let you go 20 seconds. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Our friend, author Michael Lupica, boys and girls. We're taking a break. When we come back, can the Jets possibly knock off the Pats? And is Shannon Sharpe considering a comeback?
You gotta ask him. Gotta ask him.
He should.
He's good yapping, though.